What is up, everyone? Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Game Cast. I am one of your hosts, Kenny, and with me is Tess.
Hey, everybody.
And we are back for episode 88, which is going to be a short episode. We're going to chop it up a little bit. We have been gone for a little while due to multiple reasons,
hmm
and we kind of needed a break, just a little bit of a break from just the life and the craziness and things that's happening. This is me motioning at everything right now. You can't see that, but that's what's happening.
We can
And
hear it.
right, you can hear the in the air and whatnot.
Hands.
Um, right, and so we're gonna keep it short this week, mainly for health reasons and to kind of get back into the swing of things. Um, and there's tons of things to talk about, so we have plenty of things to go over the next however many months or whatever. But today we kind of wanted to talk about just a little bit, just the two small things that we wanted to talk about. One was debuted a little old over the I think the course of 2 weeks, and that was the new Trigun trailer, Trigun Stampede, and then we're also going to talk about the Black Panther trailer, Wakanda Forever, the second film that's coming out from the MCU this November. We want to talk about those two things because we are interested in them, and that's what's everyone's talking about that the MCU and Phase 5 and 6, which looks bananas right now. But the main thing right now beyond that is the Black Panther because
hmm
people feel away. People feel away, and so we kind of wanted to discuss it a little bit. But before we do that, I did want to make note that I've been busy. I've been checking out a bunch of different anime because I'm making a top 10 anime for 2022 list, or I should say top 10 anime for 2022 so far because I think like Chainsaw Man and a bunch of others are coming out soon. And
hmm
so I haven't seen those obviously, but I'm going to be making up a list for GameSpot, so be on the lookout for that. But I've been catching up on a lot of anime, and there's a lot of good ones, and there's a lot of not so good ones, or the very least not for me, just not
hmm
really. But I did cover a wide range of different types of anime, so at the very least, you're gonna get some good stuff in there. Um, Beyond that, I also got to watch the movie Nope with Kiki Palmer, and it's Jordan Peele's film, and it's great. I think so, but it's
hmm
also divisive, just like my list is going to be. Not everyone liked it, and I kind of expect that. I think the only film that he did where everyone liked it was
Get
Get
out.
Out. I think that's universally loved, right?
Yeah.
But us not so much, and this one not so much. And I understand. Just watching it, I understand why. And I've had plenty of conversations with people, publicly and privately, about the film, and we're gonna talk about that some other time. But I just kind of want to make mention that I did watch it. I think it's great. Definitely go check it out. But if you don't like it, you didn't hear that from me. Just want to throw that out there. But yeah, the first thing we want to get into is Trigun. So if you haven't watched Trigun before, it's a old anime. I think it came out what in the 90s, mid
Yeah.
90s, I think.
95. I don't
And
know.
I think around that time. It was back in the early Cartoon Network days with Toonami and all that stuff. Before Dragon Ball, went bananas. It was around that time, I believe. And it was an interesting story. I'm not going to get too much into it. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. But there's going to be a remake called Trigun Stampede. It's named that way because the main character Vash, his last name is Stampede, so that's
His
where we get.
last name.
It's, well, it's not really. It's his name is Vash. He doesn't really have a name like
His
talking
name
about.
is Vash the Stampede.
It's the Stampede, but we don't really say the. Just like humanoid typhoon. It's like it's just various nicknames that he has. Um,
Yes.
his name is Vash though,
Yeah,
and
that.
I mean it's and considering his brother's name is Millions Knives, like
Yeah,
none
it's
of this
just.
stuff makes sense. It makes sense in the anime if you watch it, but as far as like just telling somebody that's their name, it doesn't really. You're like what? But yeah, it's essentially done kind of like Cowboy Bebop in a sense where there's a lot of the day of the life of Vash. Like he's going from place to place. He has a huge bounty on his back, and a lot of bounty hunters are trying to catch him because I think he's one of the biggest like pots out there just walking around.
He's
And
definitely the biggest pot. He's the 100 billion thousand dollar man, double dollars.
yes, it's wild. And what's crazy about that though, outside of that bounty, is like you would think, oh, he's a murderer, he's a killer, he's robbed a bunch of places. None of that. He's actually a pacifist, which makes this show comical in a way because he is a big goof, kind of like Goku, but like more so until the guns come out, and then that's when he turns into like John Wick. But he doesn't kill anyone though. He is very much against that.
He's Kenshin.
There you go. I'm not going to explain why he has the bounty because I don't want to spoil it. Potentially for the older show and the new show, but there's a reason why there's a bounty on his back, and he happens to be a pacifist. Just gonna let that just let that marinate. It's interesting. But what I wanted to say about Cowboy Bebop was the fact that each episode is not one of those things where you have to watch every episode to understand what is going on. You just kind of have to you really only have to watch like 5 episodes to really like get the gist of the story and understand why things are happening the way they are. Everything
Mhm.
else is like, oh, this was the time he ran into this guy, or this is the time he bumped into that chick, or whatever the case
Mm,
may be. It's not really meant for you to watch and be like, next time on Dragon Ball Z. Like you don't have to do that. There's none of that here,
yeah.
and it makes it fun. It's a really fun sci-fi western that is comical, really, really
Yeah.
comical. Has lovable characters, very charming cast, and solid voice acting. This is the '90s version I'm talking about. I haven't seen the new one because it's not. I think it comes out
Wow. Yeah.
next year sometime. So this is just for the people who don't know, or if if you have watched the show, maybe you need a little bit of a reminder. So I'm just kind of going over like bits and points here and there. But like I said, only the last few episodes you really need to watch in terms of story, and they get kind of dark just a little bit. But beyond that, it's a very fun show. So I was very interested in hearing about the new Trigun. When I first heard about it, I thought it was going to be a continuation, which got me really excited because I was like, how are they going to continue this? Because this didn't end the way you would think would make for a good sequel. Like you wouldn't. It didn't. I'm not going to spoil it, but some shit went down. Okay. And so it's like when I heard, but then I realized like, oh, this is actually a remake. It's not going to be a continuation. Okay, cool. So let's look at that. So then Crunchyroll released a trailer, I want to say about 2 weeks ago. And one of the first things we noticed was that it has a CG art style. It's being done by Studio Orange. And if you don't know who they are, they did the Beast Stars on Netflix, Godzilla Singular Point. They are really good at what they do. And the show looks really good. It has CG art, which is hit or miss for me nowadays. There's usually like this pseudo 2D plus CGI stuff mashed together, and it doesn't really work all that well. But Vash looks really cool. It looks like a video game in some aspects,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like the tone is a little bit more serious, like off the gate. Now, mind you, it's a trailer, so they could just be showing us, the bits from all over, the different episodes and whatnot. But just from the tone or what we did see, it does seem a little bit more serious than the previous one. So I'm wondering how they're going to do that. If they're going to start with the more depressing stuff right away, or if they're going to go lighthearted, fun, and all that good stuff. The only thing that we do know, or what's been confirmed, is that Vash is still a pacifist. He still has a twin brother who may or may not be a pacifist, and he is still amazing with a gun. Like amazing with a gun.
I would be confused if a person named Knives was a pacifist.
Right. Right. Yeah, million knives, mind you.
Right,
Like,
like
who named you, fam? Like,
some people.
but what did you think of the trailer?
Well, I liked it. I mean, it looked really good. It was obviously really short, but it looks really nice. The animation looks really, really good. And again, it does have that serious undertone, which doesn't exist that much in the original show that that I have the DVD box set for sitting in a
Oh,
box right now.
nice.
Oh yeah. I mean all of the stuff from the 90s I have. I've got it all like just sitting places. I mean, I literally watched my Cowboy Bebop on DVD, like the
No,
whole
that's
thing.
great.
over and over again before we were discussing it, because I wanted to make sure that I went back, listened to everything in Japanese just to make sure that they made Faye into that crazy person that she really wasn't. Like listening to her language, listening to the words she used. Yeah, I do the same thing with Trigun because I have it. It's over there in a box. I
I need to
got
do
I
that.
got I got Kenshin too. I got Captain Harlock. Not all of Harlock though. I don't know how Harlock, but I got a lot. And Harlock's not even a '90s thing, so let me shut up about that. But I got a lot of other things that are old, and they're on DVD, something that clearly nobody has anymore. But I loved Trigun back in the day, when it was on Toonami, or yeah, it was on Toonami, and I remember watching it and being like, this it's a lot of fun.
Right.
It's because it was, and I was already a big anime fan, just trying to find more anime, and before, I couldn't, find stuff or whatever. And I watched that one and I really liked it. And I just thought that it was one of those silly, just really silly shows. Silly show, and that had some sort of purpose. And I think when I started watching Trigun, I never started watching it from the beginning. I always ended up catching
Yeah.
it like halfway, because the way Toonami would rotate the shows, you couldn't always catch. That's the same thing happened to me with Inuyasha. I remember catching Inuyasha from a certain episode and like
Oh
missing
my
all of it.
gosh.
And so I ended up having to go back because I bought it for myself. But yeah, so uh, I always liked Trigun. I liked the silliness was so ridiculous. I was like, oh my god, I can't watch a show like Millie and Meryl are just out of control and stuff like that. But when the serious episodes would come on, it was like, okay, well, this is where the story moves forward. The other
Right.
things are, character development, or just seeing where things are going. But again, there's only those few episodes that are really important. I want to just say really important, but they're the ones that give you the stakes of the show. Like
Right.
everything else just makes everything fun. And it's like, okay, well, here's this guy who's worth this many billion double dollars or whatever, and he's always destroying things, but like on accident, or you know. But then you have these several episodes which are like, oh, wait a minute, the stakes of this show are actually really, really high. There's feelings involved, there's emotions involved, there's lives at stake, there's murders being plotted, like all kinds of stuff that makes it actually much more serious than just
Right.
the silly day to day of blowing up things and running from your bounty hunters. But the the trailer that was just released shows that serious side, and it seems to show the relationship with Vash's brother, maybe
Yeah.
probably in a little bit more detail than you get in the show. I mean, obviously with the show, you learn about this, like you learn the stakes closer to the end of the show,
Right.
and how everything ends up, coming to a close. Where it seems like in this new version, you're going to get that stuff probably right away, maybe. Because otherwise, I wouldn't understand why they would put that out in the first trailer if it wasn't going to be what we're going to get right away. And
Yeah.
it gave more of a serious feel. So maybe that's what they are intending to do. Maybe they want to give us that serious story and give us a linear type, maybe not just linear, but we'll start from maybe point B, move around, and then go back to A. But we're going to start a lot earlier
Yeah.
to see this
Potentially to hook
relationship.
people early
Yeah,
on. Because with the 90s episodes, it wasn't either you liked Trigun or you didn't. There was
yeah. There
no
was a lot of people who
overarching
didn't.
hook. Right. Because it felt like it was going nowhere.
Yeah.
And especially with how Toonami ran things, it was very easy to feel that way because they wouldn't, like you were saying, the way they rotate shows, you would
Hmm.
start in a show not realizing you were in the middle because they brought it back and they started playing from this weird,
Yeah.
spot, or they left you hanging. They did that a lot with Dragon Ball Z, where you would be left on a cliffhanger, then they would just start over. And
Yeah. And never
for
from the beginning.
right, and for us, it was like, okay, we like I get it now, like that season is done, and
Hmm.
so they have to start over. But it was ended in such a way that you didn't let people know that this was the final episode. It was more so like, hey, we're just gonna go back to the Frieza saga real quick. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. I know you're on the cell, but we're just gonna go back here. So it was like, why are we back here again? Why are we fighting Frieza? He's been dead for however long. Like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? And so the same thing with Trigun, because these episodes don't have any type of, a lot of them you could just put in any random order.
Yeah.
And if you're just coming and going, it's like, oh, what? I already watched this episode. I've watched this episode multiple times. I want to go further. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of hard to stay with it, and I think a lot of people didn't like it for that reason, even though it became a cult hit afterwards.
It ended up being exactly what you said. It was a cult hit because a lot of people during were just like, this is stupid. And these are the same people at that same period of time. We were getting a certain type of show. Like we had Bebop, we had Trigun, we had Kenshin all at the same time.
Right.
And so you have to gauge people's emotions because there were the people who were like, wait a minute, like I was into, well, like if let's say that they're playing the goofy stuff of Trigun at the same time that they're playing the Shishio part of Kenshin, those same
Yeah.
Kenshin fans are going to get pissed off at Trigun because they're like, this is just too stupid. Because I remember feeling that way. I'm like, why am I watching this show again? And of course, like when we were saying off camera, when we get to that part, like I was so confused. I had no idea. I can't remember if the first episode I saw was the Wolfwood episode or not. I cannot remember. But like I said, I watched that with my mother just because it happened to be on. We were watching Uncut at nighttime. We just
Yeah.
happened to both be awake. She had gotten home from work really late. And we just happened, she didn't tell me to change the channel. It was a lot, my mom doesn't like anime. She does not like the stuff that I will watch. And but she didn't say anything. She just sat down. I think because it probably was funny, like there was some lighthearted stuff, so she didn't mind it. And apparently, I'm not sure if she had just. Sorry, I'm really distracted because I'm looking outside and it looks like it's a tornado.
Oh God. Okay.
I'm just saying. Okay, everybody. This is just breaking the fourth wall a little bit. I just have to say this because I live in a place where the building across from me is a glass mirror. So I can see things that are going on that are not in front of me. And so that building reflects the other side of the world, but in front of me is like sunset. So can you imagine like the sky being orange? Okay. But then the building is reflecting this massive hypercell that's also gray and blue.
That's crazy.
It's really scary looking right now. And I was getting really distracted and I was trying to stay focused, but I couldn't because it's really, really distracting. It is, and it is loud. And the birds, you know, when the wind blows and the birds are like, they can't fly, they're just getting thrown. There's some major violence outside right now. Some
Oh my
major
gosh.
violence. So
We need you to check your phone, see if you got any weather alerts.
no, I haven't gotten the weather. It'll come soon. It will because you know this part of the state is a flood risk. I'm just lucky that I'm up, that I am not at sea level because I didn't move down to that part of town because I can't afford it.
Goodness.
I can't
Hey,
afford
if you
this
need
one
to
either.
you need to tuck and roll, definitely
I'll let
definitely
you
do
guys.
so.
So either one of two things is gonna happen. I'm gonna be like, "Hey guys, gotta go because I need to, you know, get shelter." That's number one. Or B, number two, we're just gonna lose power. So
Yeah, let's
and then and
hopefully it's
I'll just
just number two. Oh goodness. Yeah, so we said it was gonna be a short episode though, so we'll definitely wrap things up. Um but yeah, like Trigon looks dope, Stampede looks dope,
yeah,
and hopefully it'll be a good show. I think what you were saying is true though. I think they're probably gonna do flashbacks to
yeah,
what happened with his brother,
yeah,
and to kind of hook people to keep them going as the silliness and all that stuff is happening.
yeah.
But we shall see. It won't be until sometime 2023. It's going to be on Crunchyroll, and yeah, I'm looking
Cool.
forward to it. It should be. Um, I want to say, yeah, this is the only remake because the last thing that came out was the film Trigon Badlands.
I liked that.
Um, I don't think I ever saw that.
I did.
I
Oh
heard
yeah,
about it.
yeah. Go watch it if it's on Crunch. I don't know if it's on. I don't know where it is, but I remember seeing that a long time ago, and I was like, "This is fun." I
All right,
mean,
so
it's
I
just
will
more of the
definitely.
same.
Oh well, then we're good. Yeah, totally.
It
I will
it
definitely check
follows
that
the
out.
same formula as I feel like, Bebop did with the Bebop movie. It was like, because you have such an episodic show, you're able to throw movies in there that make sense versus like Dragon Ball Z, where
Ah,
they threw in movies and it was like, this literally could not have happened.
exactly. Although the Tree of Might is still fire. Just gonna throw that out there.
I mean,
That was
yeah,
great. That was
yeah,
great. Even though it's
no,
not canon, it was freaking
no cap,
amazing.
no cap.
Um, and so the next thing we want to talk about is the Black Panther trailer,
Yeah,
Wakanda Forever.
yeah,
Now, this is probably one of the MCU's best trailers, I think.
yeah.
And people are feel all sorts of feels, especially black people, when it comes to recasting, or whether you should recast or not recast Chadwick,
Uh-huh.
as
Cap or recap?
and like,
Good question.
I get it. I totally get it. And for me, I think we eventually should recast the Black Panther, but I don't think right now. And I think that however you take that or however you feel is totally valid. I don't think it's
Yeah,
necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot of people who feel that it's a little gross that uh the MCU is kind of using his death as a story point within the Marvel storyline or whatever. And some people feel like, well, yeah, I get it. But at the same time, people do this all the time. I remember
right.
there's been TV shows that have done that where someone has died on the TV show, and you know they are mourning in the show for
Yeah,
that particular character, and will break the fourth wall and be like, hey, they'll actually say something that is about that character's life or whatever that has nothing to do with the show. So the
yeah.
audience is watching and they're like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing. You know, actually that happened recently on a really popular show, and I can't remember, The Big Bang Theory, where a character passed away, or a person, not a character, but a person passed away, and
Mhm.
so within the story of the show, they had that character also pass away. But
Mhm.
then when they were mourning, it was real. Like they used the person's real name and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
I
so
mean, they did that with John Ritter when John Ritter died.
exactly. Exactly. And that's been, I mean, a ton of movies. I remember that happened with the House Party 2, the sequel. Kid's father, the person who played his father, whose name escapes me right now, had passed away. And they had like him going to college and him talking about how his dad, and he misses his dad and all these other things. It was a way to, you know, be respectful and not just recast someone, but then also to be like, we miss you, breaking the fourth wall, kinda. And so I think the difference here, though, is that, or at least you can make a claim that this is different, is because people feel like they're also selling this new movie based on his passing. Like everyone's wondering, like, what they're gonna do to explain the Black Panther's
Who are
absence.
these people?
And well, here's the thing: I get it. I get it in the aspect of you know, one, Chadwick Boseman was a real person, and two, at least from his brother, he felt that he should be recast. Like he was like, Chadwick would want someone else to play the Black Panther because of what he meant to a lot of black people, et cetera, et cetera. And so it was almost like the family was like, hey, don't do this, but Marvel is doing it anyways. I don't know how much weight to put on that because it wasn't like a formal request. It's kind of like a roundabout way of saying something, and so
Didn't
I'm not
Ryan
particularly
Coogler
sure.
literally say after Chadwick Boseman's death and everybody was all circulating, the questions kept going? Ryan Coogler, didn't he like come out and say, I am not recasting him?
He did, and people felt the way. People felt the way, and I can't speak in terms of the family, and because
Right.
that would be probably my only hesitation. The
Yeah.
difference here with me though is that they were actually friends. Like Ryan was his friend in real life.
Yeah.
And so if he's like, I don't want to cast, and then like, his other castmates are like, we don't want to recast him. It wasn't on Marvel. This is not Marvel saying, hey, we
No.
could really get a whole bunch of tickets, to the theater if we kind of make this big thing about his passing. Like, no. If anything, Marvel was actually being respectful with how they did all their memorial services and how they allow Ryan to do. Even when they announced the film on stage, there was
Mhm.
a big opening number and a tribute to
Mhm.
Chadwick. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they wanted to do. So
Mhm.
I don't think it's Marvel just trying to get money. I think
No.
that they wanted to make a story that not only was appropriate based on what happened, but also that respected what Chadwick had done
Yeah.
as his friend, right? And so that doesn't mean that there's never going to be another Black Panther. I mean, we saw in the
Right.
trailer that there is going to be one, probably Shuri, his sister,
Charlie Shuri. Yeah.
but because of the multiverse, that there could actually be another, T'Challa. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're
So
totally good.
he's going to get recast, but I think right now, based on how things went about, if the cast and crew wants to honor him this way, I think it's okay.
Yeah,
Personally,
I agree with that too. I didn't know that there was this one. I saw like a I guess on my Google tiles, like something had come. I saw this, and I just didn't want to. I didn't read the article. I just didn't have any energy. I have very low energy nowadays, and I just couldn't put my energy towards that, so I didn't.
right?
I watched some trashy Johnny Depp, Amber Heard stuff, but that's like easy for me. So it's very, very easy. But but it's not actually. I'm sorry, it's not. I don't want to say like that. It's actually very triggering, and I have some trauma that really makes me hurt when I hear that stuff. But moving on. I first of all, I loved the trailer. That was beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful trailers I've seen.
It's well done.
It was very well done, and I was emotional. Like, I wasn't crying, but I really did when they showed Chadwick. It's not just it wasn't T'Challa to me. It was Chad, and
Yeah.
because it was Chad, I was very very sombered, like watching the trailer, and I was so happy because again, I knew that Ryan had said that he wasn't going to cast him, and I agree with you. I think in the future he'll be cast, but as far as we were told back like last year or whatever, Wakanda Forever was supposed to be wasn't it supposed to be like that's the last movie that Ryan was gonna like it they were only gonna do those two because especially because Chadwick died is I thought
It was
that's what
something
was
to
said.
something to that effect. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember them being like, I mean, that's also even in the title, like it was kind of like it's just going to be this. This is going to be it, and they can continue doing other things with the other movies and however the MCU moves forward because we don't know when they're going to just cut stuff off and when they're going to focus on different vectors of whatever. But
Right.
I I was so happy to see what they did because I thought that they were making a point. They were making a point that a lot of people had already vocalized. They were saying that Chad was the only person. He was the person meant for the job.
Right.
This is not something. This was not a role that they could easily just be like, you know what, we can find somebody else. Like the way that DC does the Joker every few years.
Right. Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
not like they the Jokers are bad. It's just the fact that they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna have this person, and now we're gonna have this person. And Batman, we're gonna have this person, now we're gonna have this person, as if none of our feelings are tied to it. I felt that that Ryan Coogler and everyone involved in this decision was making a statement saying he is our forever T'Challa, and we're gonna make it that way. And I know that even knowing, the story of the like things that T'Challa does, it does cut things short because he has other purposes, he has other things that he does.
Right.
And but also that's why we're lucky we have a multiverse because these things can always 100% always be fixed. I still think they could have done that with Eternals. Same thing. It was just like, why did you help out? Well, we weren't here because it's the wrong universe. Like, I mean, it could have been like that. It could have been actually quite easy. And we weren't supposed to fight. And whatever, get out of here. So, so anyway, back to the task at hand, which is this trailer. I thought it was amazing. It was beautiful. Again, I was really, really like just sombered when I saw his face. When Angela Bassett is doing her soliloquy. I don't know. Speaking of it's just so good. And then you get to see Michaela Cole for like 0.5 seconds. And I'm like, yes, finally, my girl. Big up Ghana,
Right.
like I was just so excited to see. I love the music. I loved the music. It was really
Yeah.
good. And this is me not even getting to see it on my big TV, which I don't no longer have anymore. But like it was just very nice. It was a very, very, very good trailer. I'm very excited. And the most important thing that I need to say is that the Black delegation has met. They have
Yep.
started proceedings, and we are supposed to go see the movie in all white. I don't know if I'll be able to go because noise and stuff, and me not being able to sit in front of a jumbotron. I can
Right.
barely manage my television, uh, but we are supposed to be wearing all white as the Black delegation has informed us. I did learn this like 2 days ago.
Word? I didn't get
Yeah,
my invite. They need to
you did.
look. I
I'm
might
gonna
have
have to
moved since the last movie. I'm gonna need you to no.
I'm going to forward you the message because, yes, these messages were sent out, and it is possible that your representative for your chapter has not sent you the message yet. And so I did get the message from the representative from my chapter. My chapter leader did make sure that I viewed the
Word.
TikTok message. And therefore, we are going to show up and show out in white. And it is in white. So you're going to need to get your best white African garb. So go get it. You just get the material right now is probably what you should do. Just get it because you have months. So just get your go there. We have an auntie that we go get cloth from. Start getting your stuff sewn now.
And make sure you get the right type of cloth because a lot of people went to the first movie in like funeral wear. It's like,
So embarrassing.
fam, like, okay, you get a pass this time, but or last time, but this time I'm gonna need you to do a little research, just a little bit. It's not that difficult, folks. It's really not. Um, but yeah, it's. I'm looking forward to it, and I think that however you feel about the film is valid to you. I do think what I will say on that regard though is that it's foolish to try to get people to boycott the film because they didn't recast or they didn't whatever. Yeah, black like boycotting a black film because they didn't do something that you thought should be done is really foolish to me. Like you don't have to go see it, but trying to get
Yeah.
other people to for this reason, and you haven't seen it, like you haven't seen it, and people are going wild online, like calling people like not like saying people aren't kinfolk, like basically saying that they're not black enough because they decided to do whatever they decided to do with the movie because we haven't seen it yet. And I'm like, that is wildly offensive,
That
and you
is
haven't even
extremely
seen anything.
expensive.
You know what I'm saying? Like, chill, chill
That's why
out.
you gotta make like when people make these comments, when they say this is why, when I said who is saying these things, find out that these aren't not bots, but the Russians who are sitting there trying to sow discord in the black community. I'm so serious because it's like, so really a bunch of black people decided to get together and said to boycott a Ryan Coogler film.
But you know how like certain sectors of the black community can get. Like
I
it's
mean,
really it's trash.
it's the
And
dry-haired girl sector because she doesn't her people don't count until
fam,
she learns how to get some moisture in her hair.
no, she has been put outside the group. But no, like even with like, because remember I didn't like the show Them at all, and I've
Yeah, yeah.
spoken at length about it. I have never said anybody who's associated with it, who produced it, who directed, I never
Mhm,
said that they were not black. Like that's
mhm.
a wild thing to say to someone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, just chill. If you don't want to watch it, cool. If you do, be in all white. Apparently, all right, all
Well,
right.
yeah, it's clearly that's what they need to be. Why, like, if you're gonna tell people to boycott Black Panther, then you need to just stick to like Captain America films. But now they can't because Captain America's black now too. So I don't know
Oh
what
my
they're gonna
gosh, I'm
watch.
not even gonna start. I'm not even. Yeah. So that is the end of our show. Told you we were cutting it short this week. Definitely, thanks for hanging out with us. Feel free to follow and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, and if you're listening on, you know, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all those other different places. Feel free to add us to your RSS feed. Subscribe there as well, because we have a lot of stuff coming. We have a special guest that's going to be coming up pretty soon, next month, I believe, and pretty big special guest. So you're going to want to be, notified when that happens. I'm also working on a couple more guests for the end of the year. So it should be interesting. Should be interesting. Um, Make sure to follow us at the Gamecast1 on Twitter. And all of our stuff is like in the descriptions and whatnot below. So definitely follow. And so you can be up on all the new content. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, whether it be the MCU, video games, new anime, all this good stuff. Um, yeah, you should listen. You should definitely listen. But that's it for housekeeping.
Yeah. That's it for me. Just remember, be kind, and rewind if you still have a VCR. I do. But that's really it. And just remember to wash your faces and your butts in that order. And also just wash your hands too, please. Don't go shaking people's hands. Wear your mask because COVID is out here. For
Yes.
real, for real. And so is monkeypox. So stop playing around, people. Stop. It's not funny. We're going to have this pandemic and that pandemic and every pandemic forever if y'all don't just wear masks. Get out of here.
Pandemic party.
Come on. I'm like, the parallelogram was supposed to have ended last panorama, and now we have another Polaroid on its way. Stop it. Just so dumb. So dumb. Anyway, but that's it. That's all I have for you guys. Hope everybody has a great week. See you next week. Maybe. Don't know. But, that's okay. Bye.